It's so hot. It's so humid. And that means it's time for tropical plants. That's right, summertime is one of the best time of year for tropical plants down here in Central and South Florida. So join me on a tour of my backyard where we're gonna cover over 20 different tropical plants that you can grow in your tropical garden. So who is excited about all the tropical plants in their yard just looking like their best selves? They're just looking gorgeous and beautiful, and we're getting these flowers and some wonderful smells like with this gardenia here. The thing about the gardenias, I just love gardenias, oh my gosh. So with this plant, you know, it gives us a lot of flowers if you remember from our spring tour, but it didn't just quit when we hit summer. No. It has been putting out regular flowers, making this area of the yard just so nice to be around. And it's right next to my patio, so you know, one of the benefits of it being hot and humid is that the scent of flowers really hangs in the air. So, you know, silver linings about our heat and our humidity. So let's come over here and check out some of our tropicals. So of course, lining all along here, you'll see that we've got a hedge line. It's not a hedge line, this is actually areca palms, native to Madagascar. They can put out a lot of little puppies. Well, not puppies, you know, like seedlings, all down in here. But they can be really nice for filling in a space pretty easily. Another we have here is a wonderful edible that comes from the Philippines. This is a calamandan. They look, right now it's putting out a lot of fruit, even though it's being impacted by citrus greening. And you can see here, this one's about to start turning orange. They look like little tiny oranges when they're all done and ready. And I would say they kind of taste like a lemon or a lime. They are really yummy. And they can be, let's see, 15 feet tall, 20 feet tall, depending on it. It actually starts down here, and then it gets kind of thinned out for a minute, and then it goes here. And what's cool about this plant is it can host our wonderful giant swallowtails, but you can also keep it pruned almost like, oh, what are those called? Bonsai trees. I've seen some people do it as a bonsai, but you can get all this cute little fruit. And I love using this. I've made calamandanade, kind of like lemonade, or I've made marmalade from it, which I gave it to a British person and they were like, best marmalade they've ever had. So I feel pretty good about that. Then over here we have, thank you all of you who gave me the name of this plant, the cordyline. I'm gonna go with cordyline, let's call it that. Also known as the, this is the red sister type. I love how these look. Now in the spring they'll have flowers, but I just like how, you know, in the middle of the summer we're getting a lot of green, and this adds some nice color for our summertime. And down here we have, oh, I always forget what this is called, but it's a type of fern. It's not native to the state of Florida, but it's really, it just is a nice filler as kind of a edger. You kind of get down low. So you can see it gets like 1.5, maybe 2 feet tall. Not very big. Let's call it 1.5 feet tall. But you can use it as like a low shrubbing plant. And behind it we have a couple of bottle palms. And hiding down in here, I am so in love with this way that this is starting to transform. Finally, our native firebush is getting big enough to fill in this area. It's getting enough sun, and those coral flowers are starting to come out, and they are so pretty. And then next to it, our native tropical sage just peeking up. You see those red flowers? It does a great job self-seeding. I highly recommend. Now they are really good at spreading themselves. So if you're gonna have an area having something like a nice hedge line to contain them is a good idea. And our jacaranda, happy that the summer is back. It's put on some nice leaves. It's growing big and tall. I cannot wait. I think, what is it, 5 to 7 years to take to get its first set of flowers. I have also out here some of my orchids that are just doing their orchid thing. You know, a lot of people think about putting orchids as houseplants, but in the wild, they're actually up in trees. And I've actually seen things like at Disney, they do some really cool stuff like putting them in the boots, they call it, of the sable palms, which we'll take a look at one. Not an orchid, but I'll show you a sable palm. And here we've got these painted crotons. I love the way these look. Because you can just, again, like you're getting color from leaves, this yellow spotting. And there's a couple different variations of this in the yard. And I'll show you some with the red leaves. Here's more of that tropical sage, which the butterflies, they're all about it. There we go. We have one of our native gold fritillaries. Yay, thank you for coming to show. And here's more of that painted crotons, which, look at this. Do we see this? With the leaves. We're getting some nice reds. I love how it transforms from that reddish color through to the green. And then we have one of our standard low grass plants with these purple flowers. I really don't see a lot of our pollinators hanging out on them, but they do add a little bit of color. If you do want to do one of these like grass lines, grass edgers, borders, these would be a good one for that. And as we carry on, now here, of course, we have our non-native firebush, and you can see the leaves are staying kind of a brighter green than our native type. And the flowers, of course, are that yellow that we know is a really good way to tell that we've got the non-native type. So if you've been wondering, you may have the non-native type. Now, not a tropical plant. Oh, hi, giant swallowtail. Hi. Now, not a tropical plant native to the state of Florida. This is a marlberry. This will grow about 10 to 15 feet tall. It's a plant that really likes shade and areas that get a little bit swampy. Oh, hello. Okay, we're gonna pause. So back to the marlberry. Native marlberry has fruit that's edible to you and me. I would call it like a salty tasting blueberry when I've had it before. This is great for areas that get a little boggy and that are shaded. This should get 10 to 15 feet tall, so I'm really excited to shape it more like a tree and have it back in this area. And actually, probably in the future, I'm going to be doing a shade butterfly garden full of natives right here. But I'm going to have some things to contend with, and that is these ex-house plants. It's like real ex-house plants of Florida. So we got our sword fern. I am not a fan. And pothos. Ugh. I have pulled this so much from this area. And you can see it's coming from our neighbor's yard and going up, 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 up the trees. They've been doing their best to try to stop these vines from taking over. But just a friendly reminder, keep your house plants in your house. There is a reason we don't put them in our yard, because they're tropical plants and they are gonna make a big old mess. A big old mess. So here's my big old mess back here. And then over here we've got a ornamental variegated ginger. This is not the type you can eat, which is a bummer. I'm actually thinking that we'll add some actual edible ginger and turmeric back here at some point, but for now it can look really pretty. And back here we also have a nice stand of our native slash pines, not tropical, but if you ever wonder what's in your yard, this is what they are. And here's those sable palm I was talking about. That there's some really cool things. So the boot is literally that part that when the palm falls down, it's the part that's left behind. So as long as like your landscapers or you don't take it off, you can put orchids in those. It's really cool. Lots of native wildlife really like those. So back we have got some more variegated ginger. Here are some more of those Gardenians, which are really cool. And here is the mulberry that I propagated last, I think, November. And this is how big. It's already put out like a couple berries, but right now we're all about helping it grow. And then over here we've got some really pretty hibiscus, exotic to Florida. They're really pretty. We've got some different types, white with red on the inside, pink ones. And they can make a really nice hedge line. They like full sun, but they are a really good way to add lots of pops of color. Now down here you might see a vine sneaking in. This is Virginia creeper. Super aggressive. It's not an invasive species. This is native to Florida, but it's not something you want taking over your hibiscuses. And in front of the hibiscus, this is a carambola tree. Carambolas grow starfruit, and they can be pretty small. They can take some semi-shade. So this one, I think we've had it 2 years now. It's only put out a few fruit. I usually don't put a lot of attention to it, so that's just what it is. And we got a lot more of that sword fern that's creeped over from the neighbor's house, plus areca palms hiding back in there if you can see them. And here we have our classic orange tree, native to Southeast Asia. We got lots of fruit coming in, which I'm really excited for. I'm hoping we get a decent harvest this year. So we usually, the type of orange we have, this should become ripe in about January, February, which is always great. Who doesn't love fresh orange juice in the middle of winter? Now we have some other types of hibiscus. I love these ones. They got this like always hanging down red. And this is like the red of Florida, this coral red. And I like these ones because they have this kind of feathered look to the leaves, or leaves, petals, which I think is really pretty. Does this not tell you, like, hello, you are in a tropical garden? I love this color red. And I think another color that really makes you feel like, yes, you have a tropical garden, you've got those exotic flowers, is Ixora. Look at this yellow, and it comes in some really cool colors. This is a yellow one, but oftentimes you can find it also in this coral color, and a very pretty pink, like a flamingo pink. I'm a big fan of that one, but I don't have any in my yard because I usually put in natives. And then sneaking down here at the bottom of our Ixora is taro. And here's another, it's another houseplant run amok. So yes, they may look like this when you put them in your yard, and this is actually growing from a tuber from this one, these giant elephant ears. We have pulled out so many of these throughout the years. We've lived in this house about 8 years now, 6, 7 years, I don't remember. But these things, once they're in, now I know they're edible, but getting through this Ixora to its root system is pretty difficult, and I think this one passed back through from our neighbor's yard. So always a watch out. If you want to grow taro, put it in a pot or something. This one's a really difficult one to go and handle. And then we have more of those cordelians. Again, like you see how it's sprinkled throughout our tropical garden to give little pops of color, because there's a lot of green in the summertime. So it's nice to have something that really brings in a lot of color, because any of your temperate climate flowers, they're all dying right now. But your tropical flowers are putting out some really pretty colors, but you can also get this pretty colors in the leaves too. And over here we have more gardenia. These ones aren't flowering right now. They're more in direct full sun. And then another sneaky tropical plant that is here. that you may find in your yard and you should consider removing is this vine. This is bitter melon. The fruit is technically edible. The seeds are poisonous. You have to know what you're doing. Birds will tend to eat it. But you can see it's starting to grow all over this hibiscus back here and come down. A different plant that is also a subtropical tropical, this is a cucamelon. These actually grow little teeny tiny cucumbers. So that's one of the challenges when you have a tropical exotic garden, is that, well, you have all these gorgeous plants, but sometimes new plants sneak in and you wonder, should I take it out? Should I not? Now, we've got a big one here. Let me see if I can back up. I don't think I've ever really talked about this. And this is a black sapote. I put this in, oh gosh, 2-3 years ago. It is really this tall already. And if you don't know black sapote, you may know the name of the fruit, and that is the chocolate pudding fruit. And they have these gorgeous shiny leaves on it, and it puts out a fruit, which it's not fruiting right now. I don't see any on here. It only put out its first fruit this year. And the fruit, when you open it up, it's kind of like an avocado where you want to let it get really brown and soft. And then you've got this custard-like fruit on the inside. Now over here we've got some more hibiscus. This is the pink Seminole hibiscus. They have these really pretty pale pink, but kind of like, still kind of in that neon pale pink. We have some fuchsia hibiscus. I think hibiscuses, I mean, because the flowers get so big, they can just really add a lot of color throughout your exotic garden. And here we got a lot of crotons filling in the base here. And you can see in my neighbor's yard, they've got a lot of that native firebush, which is flat. It just loves the summer. And the butterflies love it too. Oh, and he's got some copper plant heading over my yard. And of course, if you're in the tropics, how could you not think about growing bananas? All day bananas. Bananas. I love me some bananas. Got a pretty flower down there. More sword fern, cordelians, a smaller type of palm. I always forget what this one is called. It's got some decent thorns on it. Another thing, if you're looking for kind of a lower, like a low shrub, is this type of, I forget the name of this fern. If you know the name, please put it in the comments down below. But it does create a nice low shrub kind of look without actually being a shrub down here in a tropical garden. And one other plant I want to sneak in here is wild coffee. Now this is a small one I propagated, but it will get about 3 feet tall. It is a shade lover. And I think that even though this is a native, it's one that really does get that tropical look. You can see it has those nice shiny leaves. It'll get berries on it. Birds love it. And it can be a great addition to your shady spots of a garden. And you can see it's hiding behind this little stand. And if you're inspired to go and add some tropical plants to your Florida garden, but you need help on what to grow and when to grow it, go ahead and check out www.wildfloridian.net/calendar for your free seasonal gardening calendar. Link will be in the description down below. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.